Greetings, welcome back. In this tutorial lecturette, I want to wrap up the discussion on metaphysical, the ultimate nature, the problem of the ultimate nature of reality. We've looked at two options: metaphysical monism, which come in two varieties: metaphysical materialism, metaphysical idealism. And here I want to wrap up by looking at metaphysical dualism regarding the ultimate nature of reality. It's a position that's committed to the existence of both physical material items and non-physical, non-material items. And I captured this last time on the overhead. Let me switch slides here. You'll see here the top-down approach, metaphysical classification. Here you have two kinds of reality. This is a metaphysical dualist position, and it can be categorized. Reality is taken to be two kinds of basic stuff: matter, energy, physicality, and non-physical reality. Maybe these would be some examples. Okay. Back to this slide, metaphysical dualism. Here again let's try and get this to work here. Here are some maybe famous metaphysical dualists. Here's the French philosopher René Descartes. We'll be talking about him shortly. Here's Plato. He was also a metaphysical dualist. The Pope, metaphysical dualist. Kierkegaard, 19th century Danish philosopher. William Lane Craig. He's a famous Christian apologist. Here's St. Thomas Aquinas, also a metaphysical dualist. And here's William Hasker, a metaphysician who is committed to metaphysical dualism. All right, so I want to wrap up the ultimate nature of reality, and I want to move on then to specifically the mind-body problem. So let me just go back here, remind us of the three problems. Just switch back here. So the three areas we're concerned with the ultimate nature of reality. Okay. We've concluded that now. I want to move on to now the nature of mental states, i.e. the mind-body problem. So let me cue that up. Okay, now I've queued up the metaphysics mind-body problem. Mind-body problem, again, is a problem that is generated by the relationship between essentially mental, non-physical states and brain bodily physical states. Let me explain further. The mind-body problem concerns really the nature of mind. What is its nature? What is basically the nature of mind, mental states, consciousness, mentation, and that sort. And then explaining its exact relationship with physical states, the physical body, brain. So it's here, if we want to call this mental states, consciousness, and reconciling that with brain states. Here's an example. We have conscious mental states like joy, pain, anger, etc. But the problem is determining what sort of reality these mental states have. That's the first problem. What is the nature of mentation? Okay. Second, what is exactly the relationship, once you carve that out, what is exactly the relationship between mental states and its relation to the physical body? Okay. So here, whoops, let me go back to that slide here. Mental life, conscious mental states. Here's one example of how to solve the mind-body problem, is simply to reduce, a type of reductionism. Say mental states like joy, pain, anger. All that is, at the end of the day, all this is, consciousness and the like, are biochemical brain states. That's all. In other words, this stuff here is purely reducible to neurochemical physiological states in the brain. That's it. Nothing more and nothing less. Now, what you've done there, if that's the route you take, you essentially dissolve the mind-body problem by basically taking all mental non-physical mental states and reducing them to physical states. So again, if you take this root, there are no non-physical conscious states at all. Love, anger, joy, pain, and the like are really, at the end of the day, just biochemical brain states. That's it. Okay. Here's another slide that captures the problem. Mind-body problem. On one hand, we have mental states such as joy, pain, tickle, hunger, belief, consciousness, etc. Okay. On the other hand, we have physical states. We have mass, velocity, momentum, energy, heat, density, charge, etc. Now here are the questions. Do these two ways of speaking suggest that there are two completely different kinds of realities, substances? Or are these just two ways of talking about one and the same substance? Okay? When we talk about pain, joy, love, hunger, etc., do we mean by that in addition to the physical brain states associated with that, there is this mental, non-physical consciousness that goes along with it? There's two kinds of substance, physical and non-physical. Or are we simply meaning with that language that there's just one and the same? Pain is just the physical state of C fibers firing at the synapses of certain neurons. That's it. That is all pain is. It's nothing more, nothing less. Okay? Here's the mind-body problem. The body is a physical thing. The mind is a non-physical thing. Mind and body causally interact and affect one another. Now you might say, well, what's the problem? We have physical bodies and brains. They take up space. They're publicly observable, etc. And then we also have consciousness, mind, mental states, mentation, non-physical states. They don't take up space, time. They don't take up space. They don't have a weight. They don't have any of that. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is if you are committed to a type of mind-body dualism here, the problem is explaining how that interaction takes place. Let me change slides. I'm going to put the slide up that I put on the overhead in class last time. This is the basic layout of most people's commitment regarding the nature of humanity. So we might call these 5 pre-philosophical facts, and I put facts in quotes to indicate that this is really most people's intuitions and original thinking about the nature of ourselves. Most people take it to be, 1, we have a mind and we have a body. 2, most people take it that normally mind and body, mind, brain, somehow work together. 3, our mind is essentially private and not public. Most people take it to be our own internal first-person subjective states of consciousness. That's essentially private. That's something that I only have privileged access to. When I picture the sunset or picture a particular landscape, when I bring that before my mind's eye, that's something that's essentially private. It's mine. And only I can see that, not you. Usually we think that's what mental states are. Okay? When I experience pain or nausea or the taste of the acidity of pineapple, when I experience that, those mental states, that experience, we use a word qualia, I'll get to that later, that qualia, that first-person subjective felt experience is essentially private and not public. On the other hand, number 4, our body, brain is essentially public and not private. We have a body and we can maneuver that body in various physical states and poses. Brain as well. This is essentially something we can view publicly. We could take our brain, well, I couldn't see my brain, but I could see your brain. We could take brains out. We can look at brains. Those are essentially publicly observable items. Well, here's the rub. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the problem. Mind and body causally interact. What we mean by that is we most of the time take it to be that mind can cause body-brain states. We take it to be, conversely, that body, brain can cause mental states, right? So physically, I can slam my toe in the door. That's a physical interaction with my body. Slamming my toe in the door, and it causes mental states of pain and anguish. That mental state of pain and anguish then will cause further body states like go get ice, put ice or some kind of ice pack on my injured toe. That's an example of this interaction between mind and body. Okay, now let me switch slides here and see if I can capture what is exactly the problem here. The problem is non-physical things cannot causally interact with physical things. Okay, I want you to read that again. The problem here is non-physical things cannot causally interact with physical things. How do we explain this so-called series of events where there's the interaction, the alleged interaction between non-physical things like mental states interacting with physical states, brain states? Okay, how do you explain that? We can explain the interaction of physical things in and through the laws of physics, but how do we explain physical things causing, pushing and pulling on non-physical things? That seems to be inexplicable. Well, what are our options? Well, one option is a type of dualistic interactionism. This is what we call mind-body dualism. It says when it comes to the nature of humanity, the nature of the person, we are essentially two types of stuff. We are our composition, what we're essentially are. We are made up of both physical states and mental states. So along with body, brain, that takes up space, time, has weight, volume, mass, etc. Along with that, we also have this non-physical reality to us called consciousness. And the rub here is that these two distinct components, mental states, mentation, and physical states, brain states, at the end of the day, they both causally affect one another. Okay? So that's one option. That's called dualistic interactionism regarding the mind-body problem. Another way of putting it, mind-body dualism. That's the first option. Okay? Here with this picture, I'm going to go through this picture, and then that will wrap up the mind-body dualism, just explaining it. Next tutorial, I'll discuss the other option regarding mind-body problem called physicalism. Okay, but let's finish up dualistic interactionism. If you're a mind-body dualist, this is you're going to toe the line on this. Here we have a physical state, physical object. This is a telephone. The telephone here, old school telephone, it's going to ring, and the action here, or reaction, is the hand picking it up. So here you have a mental state, physical state, brain state. The phone rings, causing electrical signals being sent to the brain. BS2, brain state 2. These sensations then cause mental states. The mental state of hearing the sound or the sensation of the sound. Okay? I'm going to pick this up next time and we'll wrap it up in this tutorial. Thank you.